Hi everyone, good afternoon. We finished BSB XCM 401 Assessment 2 Section 1 last week. Okay, so now I'm going to just click on this one. This is the unit we started like 2 weeks ago. Now go to Assessment folder. Now we need assessment questions. And then we need the project portfolio. We have already completed the section 1 of the project portfolio assessment 2 and the simulation. So just please make sure you open up simulation, which I already have opened up on my screen. So I have the simulation here, assessment 2 questions and the project portfolio open up. Let's go to assessment questions. Okay. We did section 1 last week. So today we are doing this part, prepare for communication. No, we did this part. This is for section 1. Now here, we're going to start from here. Communicate and negotiate the communication roles with team members. So we are going to communicate and negotiate the roles with the team members. If you don't remember the case study, don't worry. I'm going to go through the relevant parts of section 2 today when I read the case study. Okay, right. Now, describe the team members and how you will interact with them. So you need to choose some team members to communicate. We will find whom we need to communicate. At least one team member must have a diverse background, example, cultural differences, ability, or intergeneration. Now, select an appropriate presentation and communication method to communicate. The communication roles established in step 2 with two team members. Your presentation should be a written document, so you need to create a PowerPoint to communicate, okay? Using a digital technology, MS PowerPoint, your communication method should use digital technology, video conferencing, or you could use the PowerPoint and conduct it in the class. If you're basing this assessment on the case study, you are doing it on the case study. You can prepare MS Excel spreadsheet using the information contained in the simulation pack. You must communicate using MS Teams or other video conferencing solution as per the internal communication policy, because it says that when you communicate, you can use Teams or Zoom. Okay. Now, prepare a written presentation / document to support your communication with team members. So when you communicate what you do, you're going to create a PowerPoint slides, and then when you communicate with two different team members, you are using your PowerPoint slides you created to communicate with them. Right. Make sure you adhere organizational format requirements, use digital technology, and appropriate grammar and spelling punctuation. Present the communication roles using your chosen method and negotiate the roles established based on feedback you receive from the team members. So as part of this communication, you must use your written document to present required information to the team members, present and convey information in a way that the team members can understand, clarify the instructions have been understood, seek feedback on how you can improve your communication in the future, use interpersonal skills to build a relationship with team members, facilitate respectful interaction amongst your team, prompt one team member to use inappropriate body language, consider the needs of team members from diverse backgrounds. Okay. And when you do your presentation, that's what you need to consider. But don't worry yet. I know it's overwhelming when we read like that, because we are going to use the information we used last week from the case study. So when you're going to do the presentation, we're going to do the presentation on that. Okay, don't worry yet. I will get to that point in a minute. Okay. Now complete the relevant parts of section 2 of the project portfolio and communicate with one client. And when you communicate, you are required to describe the client and the plan, how you will interact with them. Select an appropriate presentation and communication method to communicate the work activity information. If you're using the assessment on the case study, you must write a general email seeking functional input to be sent to clients using the client distribution list. Identify potential communication challenges and use decision-making techniques or / problem-solving skills to find solutions. Okay. At least 2 communication challenges should exist. You need to find out what were the communication challenges you had. If you're basing this assessment on the case study, refer to the simulation pack, because simulation pack has everything. I don't know whether you guys remember when I read last week, I only read the parts relevant to section 1 last week. I don't think I've read the parts related to section 2. So today we are going to read that. And then you need to use, as a part of the communication, you must use interpersonal skills to build relationships with clients, facilitate respectful interaction with clients, etc. Resolve one communication challenge and confirm that the communication challenge has been resolved. And this step may be performed as part of the previous step as you communicate with the client, if applicable. Okay. And now support team communication. Seek assistance to improve your communication, provide feedback and support to one of your team members to improve their communication skills, and write a report containing important information related to work activities and communication with supervisor. This part is actually for section 3. Okay, so we don't need that. Now what I'm going to do, now we read the assessment questions. Okay, let's close this one. Now we'll go to the portfolio. Okay, scrolling it down. You guys remember we did the first section of the portfolio, right? The World Education Case Study, and then you're the business analyst, your role, and then your clients. Remember the clients, you decided to give a cloud-based solution. You're going to provide a cloud-based solution. So because of that, your clients needs to know about the new idea, right? And then you need to communicate each each of your team members' roles. All of that we did last week, okay? I'm not going to go through all of that today. Watch the last week's recording and you have everything in there, okay? Right, scrolling it down to section 2, right? So we're going to start from here. Now, what we are going to do, you need to communicate to provide work instructions to team members and information to clients. Okay. Now, you need to describe team members. You don't know yet what sort of team member, I mean, who are the team members you're going to have a discussion with. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to minimize this and go to the case study. Okay. Let's go to the simulation pack. Right. Remember, we read all of this last week. I'm going to start reading from here again, just to remind you, because last week I read this part, because there are some specific information you need to know for this particular section, see section 2 from here onwards. Let's just quickly read through and make ourselves, we'll just remember everything we discussed from here. At a recent board meeting, the board of directors approved the development of cloud-based solution where customers can access a solution remotely on their devices. That is the new idea. They are going to provide this cloud-based solution where the customers can use their own devices to access the system. This decision aims to address the current manufacturing limitations and align with software development best practice. The ICT manager and sales and marketing manager work closely together. CEO has asked them to collaborate to ensure that the cloud-based software solution meets the client's user requirement, right? So when you provide such service, you need to make sure the clients are happy, right? The ICT manager and sales manager have asked the business analyst to oversee all communication between developers, advertising staff, sales consultant, and clients to aid the successful development of the cloud-based solution. So as a business analyst, you're going to oversee the communication between these team members. Okay. The business analyst has a supervisory role in world education, and you're responsible to oversee the work done by software developers, sales consultant, advertising, as far as the work relates to meeting clients' requirements. And your role, identify and prioritize technical limitations, those requirements to get IT on board, negotiate technical and functional requirements, all of that. And now you've received an email from your manager, sales managers, giving your objectives, etc. Not going to read that. And now this is the Excel sheet where you could see each of the team members' roles and what they need to do, how they need to communicate, and by when they must communicate, etc. Now, I'm going to start from here again. The information relevant to communication of roles. Now, the business analyst met with the advertising staff and developers to explain the project and their communication roles associated with the cloud-based solution. So, who you met with? You met with advertising staff and developers. Okay, so these were the two teams you met to discuss the project. Explain the project and the communication roles associated with the cloud-based solution. During the meeting, the developer yawned continuously and raised his eyebrows multiple times. Okay. Now, information relevant to negotiation in section 2. In the past, developers have interacted directly with clients. In the past, that's how they interacted, not through business analyst. However, it is now the business analyst's responsibility. You need to communicate with clients. The business analyst is willing to include developers in the meetings with clients to ask their input. So when business analysts communicate with clients, business analyst wants the developers to involve or join the discussion. And information relevant to communication with clients. Now, before the business analyst meets face-to-face with clients, he plans to send a general email to all clients requesting their input with functional specifications. Right? So before you join with the face-to-face meetings with the clients, you send an email and asking their input on functional specifications. Sales manager has access to a distribution list and will provide the list to the business analyst for this purpose. So there is a list of client names. So you will be receiving that list when you're sending the email to clients, right? And the information relevant to communication challenges. The sales manager mentioned that in the past, emails from the distribution list have ended up in the client's junk folder. So clients won't see it because it goes to their spam folder or junk folder. So he has suggested that the business analyst surveys customers after sending the email to make sure they've received the email. So now business analyst's role is to make sure that clients actually receive the email. So once you send an email, you need to double check with them whether they actually received the email or has it gone to their junk folder. So the advertising staff have suggested that social media may be used to positively influence the clients to respond to their email. Right. So when you're sending the email, at the same time, you can put a post on social media to make your clients aware that you've already sent an email. So please make sure that clients just go to their spam folder and check if they have not received into their email. Okay, something like that. This part I'm not going to read it because this is section 3. Okay. Now we know all the information. Okay, so the policies and procedures I'm not going to read because we went through last week everything. Now let's see how we can complete our project portfolio. I'm going to put this one on the side because we will be needing the this time, so we'll be using this information. So I'm going to put the project portfolio on this side. I'm having a really small, my screen is really small. I'm having hard troubles just, sorting out my screen because it's really small. Okay. Right, now let's see how we can complete this one. Yeah. Right, you need to first start describing the team members. So who are the team members now? Down here. Advertising staff and developers. You can write it down. The team members you will communicate at least to the advertising staff and developers. Okay. They're the team members. They're the team members. Now, describe any diverse backgrounds, at least one. Right, when we read the case study, it says that they are coming from different countries. Like, let me go to the top of the case study. It has all the information in the case study. If you check this part, it says here, mm, World Education headquarters are in Sydney CBD. They have a development team in Bulgaria, manufacturing team in Hong Kong, operations. So you can see they are all over the world. Okay. I'm going to copy that. Headquarters in Sydney, and they have a development team in Bulgaria, manufacturing in Hong Kong, operations and sales in Colombia, Egypt, and all that. So this is a diverse background, and you need to write it down. Any diverse backgrounds, you can write it down under that. Maybe you need to consider the variety of culture, language, time zones. Okay, you can write it down. Time zones should be considered. Okay, considered, and also you can write it down. Maybe English language ability, English mm, ability needs to be considered. And also you need to think about variety, must consider variety of cultures. Right? So these are some of the things that you can consider. Right? And then mm, this part, the this particular part describe diverse backgrounds, and this you can put this bit for that. And then interpersonal skills. What interpersonal skills will you use to build relationships? Okay, interpersonal skills, you can write it down. Right? What are the interpersonal skills that you use to build relationship with your team members? At least three, you need to write it down. You can write it down, maybe empathetic listening, empathetic listening, maybe purposeful questions, purposeful questions, and maybe using their first name, using their means like team members, okay, using their first name to address them, because then they feel like they're in the team, they're part of the team. And making good eye contact, and also maybe respectful language. So these are, and then the next question, the last one, how will you facilitate respectful interactions with and amongst team members? So how do you facilitate respectful communication? You can write it down, maybe avoid, again for that, maybe being polite and calm, being polite and respectful is very important. And also avoid jargons or slangs, then everyone understands properly. right? And also maybe allowing everyone to communicate or speak. Allow everyone to speak. So these are some of the ways that you can facilitate respectful interaction. Okay, right. Our next question. Plan communication with team members. Okay, so here, what information will you present? Okay, you remember, so mainly when we did this, when we discussed the case study, so what you're going to communicate with your team about the cloud-based solution, right? Let's just write it like this. So what information you're going to communicate first? Um, uh, you need to outline. You can get that from the case study as well, okay? Outline of the cloud-based initiatives, and also maybe you need to communicate roles of each staff member. Communication roles of each staff member. Outline of the cloud-based initiative, and as requested by sales manager in the email, remember earlier? So that's it. So this is what you're going to communicate. You're going to communicate about the cloud-based initiative, the new initiative that you're going to introduce, and also the roles of each team member. And so this is what you're going to communicate. Select an appropriate presentation and communication method to communicate the information or instruction. Example, PowerPoint presentation at the team meeting, oral explanation of previously emailed, written work plan, spreadsheet, etc. Okay, so you can use the presentation, PowerPoint presentation. So you're going to write it down. Appropriate presentation and communication method. Okay. These are the information. And then you can write it down over here. You're going to use a PowerPoint presentation at a team meeting, okay? Face-to-face meeting you can conduct in the class. Now, when you do the team meeting, it says in the case study when we read, either you can use for the team meeting MS Teams or Zoom, okay? MS Teams or Zoom can be used to communicate with team members, okay? Because it's given in the case study, right? Right. And then, and also you need to see, it says that you need to create a Excel spreadsheet. Excel spreadsheet has already given, not the Excel one, but the spreadsheet, that's a documentation, sorry, information given here. So this information you need to put into Excel file, okay? And also you can write it down here, written communication plan in MS Excel. Okay, so this you need to communicate. Okay, I'm gonna end it. Yeah. Written communication plan in MS Excel. Okay, because in the bracket, as per template in the simulation pack. Okay, that. Now, right. So the select an appropriate presentation method, you're going to use the PowerPoint. And the communication method, you can do it like a team meeting using MS Word, MS Teams or Zoom. And yeah, and how does your chosen communication and presentation method suits the requirements? Here for this one, last step. You can write it down here because these methods suits the audience by providing a clear description of work required, and also it outlines the responsibilities and the timeframes in this list. And also MS Teams meetings allow for low online interaction across the globe. So how this suits, okay, that's what we're going to write it down. These methods provide clear, clear, clear description of what required. These methods provide a clear description to what's required. Okay, what's required. And also, you can write it down, this particular description here, see? Before creating an MS Excel spreadsheet, the business analysts collect the following information. So these ones, this spreadsheet provides relevant timeframes and responsibilities, okay? So you can write it down here. Communication Excel spreadsheet provides or outlines responsibility and timeframes. Okay, so that's that. And also another one that we used here, MS Teams or Zoom, you can use to interact with people across the globe. MS Teams or Zoom allow for online interaction across because they have people all over the world, right? So that's how the chosen communication supports. Now let's go to the next question. Now here, prepare a written document or presentation. So you need to create the PowerPoint presentation to communicate with your team members. Who are the team members you've chosen? Advertising staff and developers. So you are going to conduct a presentation to your advertising staff and your developers to talk about what? Talk about the cloud-based initiative and their roles. So this is what you're going to communicate. So the roles can be found in this little Excel spreadsheet. Okay, right. So what we're going to do, you're going to prepare a written communication. Okay. So let's read it. Prepare a written document or presentation to use when you communicate the communication roles with the team members. Attach the written presentation to this section of the portfolio, the work plan and the role and description, etc. So here you need to attach your PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint slides and Excel sheet or Excel spreadsheet you created. Okay. Now here, this one, either you could create it in an Excel sheet and include it in the PowerPoint. Now I'm going to tell you how to create the PowerPoint. Okay. Now let's open up the PowerPoint here. I'm going to tell you what the PowerPoint should include. Let's open up the PowerPoint. And you don't have to create a huge, like so many slides. Just 4 or 5 slides would do to make sure that you cover the enough. Okay. Let's just go to this one. You can pick any. Okay. I'm going to just, sorry. I'm going to pick the blank one right here. Okay. Right. And then you can put the heading. What is the name of the company? World Education. World Education. Just put the name something. I'm just making it like a very simple one. You could just pick any here. Okay, let's generate. Let's put this one. Okay, and then you can make it. This is the question. This one you can, if you want to write anything, you are more than welcome to write. I'm just going to show you how to create the PowerPoint and what you need to add. Right. So here you are going to conduct a presentation to these people. Who are the audience? Audience is here. Advertising staff and developers. Okay. So you are going to talk to them about the cloud-based initiative and also their roles. So you can first start with the company name you can write, and then you can do a little introduction of the company. Okay, right? Introduction, right? And then you can write a little bit about the company. If you go to your case study, you can just go to the top and write it down. World Education is a social startup, and all of these. Copy. And then here. I hope everybody knows how to create a PowerPoint, but I'm just showing it in case if you're not too sure, something like that. Okay, so this is the introduction. And then you can add another slide. Maybe in the next slide, you can put maybe about the new initiative. Okay, what is the new initiative? Implementing a cloud-based solution. Right? You can talk about, because you are going to present this, so you need PowerPoint presentation for that. Okay. And then you could just go to your case study, right? If you scroll it down, you can see the board of directors approved the development of cloud-based solution where customers can access the software remotely on their own devices. The decision aims to address the current manufacturing limitations and align. I'm going to copy this thing and put it underneath. And then just like that. I mean, you could just be creative. Okay, I'm just making a very plain or basic PowerPoint slides, and you can just put this one. And then the next one, you could add another slide with the communication plan, which is this one, communication plan. Okay, see, you can copy this, or you could create it on a PowerPoint slide. I'm just gonna copy this here. So you can open up this one and then create a table and insert all of that. But instead of that here. Okay. Put the heading as with the heading you can put communication plan. I'm going to show you. I hope that you all know how to create a PowerPoint slide. Let's put this one a little bit here. Right, just I'm going to quickly show you. You can open up an Excel sheet if you want to create it from scratch. Okay, let's get to Excel. Open up a blank page. And then you're going to have here. But this side you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and this side you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can put and put all borders. And then you can make it bigger. This is how you create the same thing on Excel. Okay? And then you can copy the what must be communicated. Same way. And who will announce this? Stock. So that's how you do it. Okay, just copy it and create it on the Excel sheet. Anyway, now so that's how you create them. And if you create 4 PowerPoint slides, that's more than enough. Otherwise, it's going to take a while. Okay, I'm going to close this one, but that's how you do it. Okay. Yes. Sorry, guys, it has got stuck. Let me just get it. Okay, right now, so that's how you create the PowerPoint that you could attach, or you can attach separately, right here. Okay, PowerPoint that I showed you, and also you could attach this Excel sheet, whatever you created. Also, you can, but make sure you create it on Excel. Okay, then you can attach, and then the PowerPoint right here. Okay, attach the PowerPoint. Excel, you create this the same thing on Excel, and then the PowerPoint slides I just showed you how to create. Okay, so that's what you can attach it. Okay, so once you've done that, you go to the next question. Plan the negotiation of communication roles. What aspects of the roles are you willing to negotiate? Right. The negotiation will take place via MS Teams due to the diverse locations of the sales team. So they are all over. So in the past, developers have interacted directly with their clients. Okay. Now it is the business analyst's responsibility, because here you need to write it down, the negotiation. If you go scrolling down, see, in the past, developers have interacted directly with clients. However, it is now the business analyst's responsibility. The business analyst is willing to include developers in the meetings with the clients to ask their input. Okay. Now, I'm going to copy this, okay? Because you are the business analyst, just write it down as like you are writing it. So let's put the negotiation part right here. In the past, developers have interacted directly with clients. However, it is now business analysts. Or you can write my responsibility, because you are the business analyst. The the business analyst is willing to include the developers in, and I'm willing to, you can write it down, I'm willing, or maybe in the bracket you can put business analyst. I'm willing to include developers in meeting with clients to ask their input. Okay. And right, so that's what you're going to write it down here. And then what negotiation techniques will you use as the negotiate communication goals? At least 3. So what are the negotiation techniques? Right, you can write it down, the negotiation techniques. Right. You can negotiate through preparation, or you can allow everyone to speak. Allow everyone to speak and listen actively, active listening. And you need to make sure you are ready to compromise, be ready to compromise. And also you can prepare well. Before you negotiate, you need to prepare very well. Okay. Prepare well and listen actively, and focus on the required content rather than absorbing irrelevant information. All of that can be written. What negotiation techniques will you use to negotiate communication? At least three. So I've written more than three. Right? I'll write the answer for this part. Now the next one, communicate information to team members and negotiate communication rules. Okay, this is actually the observation part. Okay, this is where you are going to actually conduct the presentation on, because you already created the PowerPoint slides, and two, you're going to communicate to advertising and developers. You can do it in the class using the PowerPoint slides you created. Okay? So here, once you've done it, you can write it down. Conducted in class, and yeah, conducted in class, right? Presentation, conducted in class. You write that. So this is the part where you, once you finish your, because you're gonna send me all of that once you finish everything, you can write it on presentation, conducted in class, and train observed. That's it, right? And then next part, summarize the feedback you receive. So once you've done it, what is the feedback you receive from the team members? So I'm going to just write the general ones. Once you receive the feedback, you can write it down. How can your communication improve? So what are the ways you can improve your communication? I'm going to write the general ones. Now think about like, how can you improve your communication? Maybe you can write it down, active listening. Active listening can be used to improve your communication because you listen carefully. And maybe you can watch related educational videos, watch relevant educational videos, and also maybe attend training and coaching sessions. Coaching sessions to improve communication. You can watch relevant videos, whatever. All of these can be written as the ways of communicating. And then your strengths. You need to write down your strengths. What are the strengths you have? Maybe you can write it down. If you can communicate well, good communication skills. Good communication skills. Empathy. If you have empathy, if you don't have empathy, you can write it down. It's as a weakness, lack of empathy. Okay, and maybe you can write it down. Respectful communication. Whatever the strength you think that you have, that you need to write it down over here. Okay, and mm, maybe active listening, right? And weaknesses, maybe if you tend to speak fast, that will be a weakness. Um, or maybe lack of empathy. Whatever you have as a weakness, that's right. Okay, you write that. Okay, I'm just writing the general ones. And maybe if you're using slangs all the time or jargons, use that as a weakness as well. Using slangs. These are some of the weaknesses. Okay. You could choose what you can write. You don't have to write what I've written. These are some general ones that I've written. Okay. Right. Now let's go to the next question. Summarize any performance feedback you can provide to at least one team member. Your team members are who? Advertising staff and developers. So what sort of a feedback you can provide it to your advertising staff or your developers? You can choose any. Okay. Either advertising Team member. Any one, okay, one person, right? If it is an advertising team member, you can just make it up and write. It's fine. Yeah, like maybe communication needs to be improved. Okay, communication skills need to be improved. Like you can make it more generalized, like specific as well. Like you can write it down when you communicate. Make sure to communicate the relevant information, not just the information which you think which would help, rather than you're focusing on the topic that you're discussing. Communicate clearly, right? All of that. The feedback, summarize any performance feedback you can provide at least to one team member. So advertising team member, just pick one team member A if you're writing. Communication skills need to be improved. And also you can write it down, maybe speak clearly, active listening, whatever you can write, just write it down. Okay. Either advertising or developers. Okay. You can just pick your audiences. Now, the next section of the section 2, communication with at least one client. So here, describe what will you be communicate with the client. Okay. Describe the client. Who is your client? Your client is all customers requiring a cloud-based software solution. Okay, and write it down. Your client is anyone who requires a cloud-based software solution, right? So that's your client. What interpersonal skills you use to build relationship with the client? Like these questions are very general, And empathy, positivity, respectful communication, trust, all of that, okay? Trust, empathy, respectful communication, and anything you can think of, just write it down. And how will you facilitate respectful interaction with the client? Maybe giving the client the chance to provide input without interruption, giving the client the opportunity to provide input input without interruptions. Um, right, how you facilitate respectful communication, giving the client that opportunity to provide their ideas without any interruptions, so input without any interruptions, and all of that. Like anything you can think of respectful communication, uh, and be honest. Being honest is very important. Honest communication, right? And all of that. Okay. The next one, plan communication with the client, right? What do you need to communicate? Select an appropriate communication method to communicate with the client. Example, general email to all clients, face-to-face discussion with individual clients, social media posts, etc. Okay, so here what you need to understand what you need to communicate. Now, here, information, how do you need to communicate with clients? Information relevant to communication challenges, information relevant to communication with the client. Before the business analyst meets face-to-face with clients, he plans to send a general email to all clients requesting their input with functional specification. Sales manager has access to distribution list, will provide the list to the business analyst for this purpose. Okay, copy this bit. And then you paste it here because you are the business analyst. Because you are the business analyst, before I meet, um, before I meet clients face to face, clients, clients face to face. Okay, so before I meet clients face to face, I plan to send an email. I send a general email to all clients requesting their input with functional specifications. The sales manager has access to distribution list and will provide the list to me. Okay, so the sales manager has access to distribution list and will provide the list. I'm gonna write it down. The sales manager has the distribution list. You will get the, and you can write it now. I will receive the distribution list from the manager. Okay, I'm not going to write that there. Use your own words. The sales manager has access to a distribution list, and I will receive it from the sales manager. Then, appropriate communication method is email. It says that right here. Okay, so email is the communication method that you're going to provide. Right? And then now what you need to do, plan how you will respond to a communication challenge. Now, what are the communication challenges? Communication challenges, it says somewhere here in the case study. Communication challenges you see. Where does it say it'll go to a junk email? Right here, see. The sales manager mentioned that in the past, emails from the distribution list have ended up in the client's junk folder. He has suggested that the business analyst surveys customers after sending the email to make sure they have received the email. The advertising staff have suggested that social media may be used to positively influence the clients to respond to the email. Now here you need to write it down, the challenges. Okay. Potential communication challenges. You need to write 2. Communication challenges would be distribution list goes to junk email folder. Distribution list have ended up in the client's junk folder. Okay. And another one may be, right? Another challenge may be clients do not respond. Do not respond. And another one would be maybe clients rejecting the product or not wanting to support its sale. Clients rejecting product or not wanting to support. Yeah. Right. So these are some of the potential. You only need to write 2. Okay, I've written. Let's get it off this one. We are not supporting. There is nothing we can do about it. But we could just do something about if it goes to a distribution list. Right. These are the challenges. Okay, these 2. Right. And then here you need to write it down. List problem solving, decision making techniques you can use to resolve any communication challenges. So what you can do for this purpose, if it goes to junk folder, maybe you could just send an email to clients to make sure that they actually receive the email, so then they know that they've received it. Okay, so this way. Potential communication challenges we've done. List the problem solving. First one, you can write it down for problem solving techniques. Problem solving, decision making techniques. Put it right there. You can write it down, brainstorm ideas with team members. Yes. And write it down. Rather than here, maybe um, mm, use, because it says here, he suggested the business analyst sending the email. Okay, this one also you can write it. Sending an email to make sure they have received the email. Business analyst surveys customers after sending. Okay, I'm going to copy this one as, oh, it doesn't copy it. Business analyst. And also social media post. Copy. So these were the problem solving techniques you can use. Social media may be used to positively influence, right? And okay, that's that. And then the last part, how might you respond to the challenges? How would you respond to the challenges? You can write it down maybe if you have that problem. So what you can do is just to ask sales consultant to follow up with clients. Ask sales people to follow up with clients, and or maybe send an electronic survey to customers. Send a survey to customers. These are how you can actually respond to challenges. Okay? And then communicate with clients. Unless already weaved in person by your sister, attach the proof of the communication with clients. So you need to write an email to show that you have written an email to clients. So dear clients, I can write it down. We would like to hear your thoughts about the functional specifications of the product. We would hear your thoughts about functional specification. Hmm. You could just use your own words to write, okay, just like that. Just write a small email to your clients requesting their functional. Thank you. The business analyst. List. Right, so that's the email. This is the easy. Unless we with the person, you can just provide the proof as that you've communicated with the clients. Okay, so that's that. And the next part, resolve one communication challenge. So what are the communication challenges we talked about earlier? The communication challenges are maybe distribution list goes to junk or the clients do not respond. Remember those problems? Now you need to resolve one. Which communication challenge will you resolve? So we have two here. Right. I'm going to copy the challenges here. Right. You can pick any two. Okay. And then let's say distribution list goes to the junk folder. Let's put this one as a challenge here. You can pick any you want. Okay. And then how did you resolve it? Maybe you could write it down. To resolve that, you could just send a follow-up email to double check whether they've received the email. Okay, so how did you resolve it? Send a follow-up email to clients to double check that they received the email. And or maybe if they do not respond, again you could just maybe put a social media post to educate them or create a social media post to make clients aware. Right? So that's it. Unless already waived in person by your assessor, attach the proof of how you resolve the communication challenges to this section. Okay, so how did you resolve it? That you need to write it down. You need to write another email to clients. We have sent you an email earlier to get your feedback on functionality specifications. So this is a follow-up email, okay? You can write it down. Evidence, email evidence. Yeah, client. Um, you sent you an email earlier to get your feedback functional functional specification of our please check your spam folder if you have not received. Like you could just write it like the rest using just because this is a follow-up or checking with them again whether they have received it. We have sent you an email earlier. And you can write the rest. That is analyst. How you can write here. We have sent you an email earlier to get your feedback on functional specification. Please, if you have not received it, please make sure to check your spam folder. It might have just something, just this is just a follow-up email, okay? That's what they want to make sure you show that you communicated with the clients, okay? This is the follow-up email. Now, the next one, confirm that one communication challenge is being resolved through a follow-up email or check in social media or survey, whatever. Let's say because you've sent an email. Here you need to just write down the last one. Okay. See, is it the check this sort of like repetition? Client confirm that one communication challenge has been resolved through that. Unless already waived in person by your assessor, attach the confirmation that the communication issue has been resolved in this. Okay, here you need to write it down. The email you received from the client because you already sent an email to the client here saying this is a follow-up email. Okay, I'm gonna add follow-up email you've sent, and now you need to write down the email you received from the client. So let's say, dear business analyst. Thank you for the email. Thank you for the email. I received the previous email you sent. This is to confirm that I received the email you sent previously. Okay, thank you for the email. This is to confirm that I received the previous email. I received the previous email you sent requesting input on functional specifications. This is something I received the email you sent previously requesting functional specifications. Your cloud-based. Thank you. The client, okay. Okay, and thank you for the email. This is to confirm that I've received the email you sent previously requesting functional specifications of your cloud-based product. Thank you. This is by the client. Okay. And that's how you write the answer. I know this is a bit long. Now that you have the PowerPoint slides needs to be attached, and also proof of the communication and negotiation with the team members, the communication with clients, proof of how you resolve one communication challenge, all of that's written here. Okay, that's how you complete section 2. Please talk to me if you have further questions. Okay, right. Thank you, guys.